Springan, the archetype that was about as effective at winning games as your Yu-Gi-Oh! Rank was in your Tinder bio at impressing females. This archetype, up until about a couple of hours ago before this selection pack, was complete and utter horseshit. So Konami decided, hey, this archetype sucks. Let's print it an actual custom card. A card that if put into any other archetype would be horrendously broken. This card not only searches for one of your Springans, it can then also special summon like 3 or so different monsters. That's ridiculous. Oh, and by the way, this archetype also got a ridiculous Xyz monster as well. So here's today's deck list. Now just a reminder before I get to the deck list, if you guys are enjoying today's video and want to see more content just like this in the future, especially if you're a returning viewer, so apparently about 35% of people watching this are even subscribed to the channel, meaning 65% of you haven't even clicked that button yet. So if you guys are enjoying this content and want to see more videos just like this from me in the future, remember to leave a like on this video and consider subscribing to the channel down below. Alright, let's jump into this deck list. Alright, so before we jump into the new stuff, let me give you a brief rundown on what most of the cards in here do, as let's be honest, this isn't the most popular archetype around, so most people watching this probably have no idea, I've never seen these cards before, so I'll give you a brief rundown on some of the cards in here. So the first one's going to be your Rockey. This card, when it is normal or special summoned, can target any of your Springans or one of your Great Sea Gondolas or whatever from your graveyard, and add it straight back to your hand, which is very good as it combos super well with Brothers. Because Brothers, when sent to the graveyard, can special summon out a Springan from the graveyard, generally going to be your Rockey. Then Rockey can add back that Brothers straight back to hand, so a nice bit of a combo here. Alright, then we have your Branga. Branga, when the graveyard, can banish itself along with another Springan, to then be able to add one of your Springan spell and trap cards from your deck to your hand, generally going to be your Watch or a copy of your Blast. Alright, then we have your Captain Sargas. Sargas is going to be special summoned to your field quite often using your Sprind over here, and this card can detach Xyz materials from your Xyz monsters to be able to destroy cards on the field. Then we have your Watch. Watch can just search for your field spell whenever you want it, or if you already have the field spell, it'll be able to add a Springan card from your hand and send a Springan card from your deck to the graveyard. Then we have your field spell. Now the only thing you need to worry about with this field spell, it has a whole bunch of effects, but the only thing you actually need to worry about, you can read the rest in your own time, is you can just summon out Xyz monsters from your extra deck without giving a fuck. So basically you activate this thing, and then you just summon out an Xyz monster straight to the field. So very cool, and is your main combo starter. It's the main reason why there's so many searches for it in this set list. Because this can search for it, and of course your Springans Booty can also search for it. This again also has a bunch of other effects you can read in your own time, but generally you just activate this card, search for your field spell. That's the main use of it. Then we have your Tally-Ho Springans, which is one of the brand new cards. This card, when you activate it, can detach up to 3 materials from monsters you control to add 1 Springans monster from your deck to your hand. Then if you detached any materials at activation, you can special summon that many monsters from your hand or graveyard. So generally, this will add a card to hand and then special summon 3 cards to the field. So this thing generates a shit ton of value. Alright, then we have the final main deck Springan card, your Springans Blast. If you control a Springan monster, choose one opponent's monster zones. If a monster is face up in that zone during this turn, it cannot attack directly, also its effects are negated. So basically, you just use this thing to negate one of your opponent's things. If no monster is in that zone, it cannot be used this turn. If you control a fusion monster that lives Fallen Valbaz and material blah blah blah, we don't going to be doing that part of the effect. So basically just a negate trap card. Alright, let's move on to the extra deck now, starting off with the brand new card, Gigantic Champion Sargas. So this card normally takes 2 level 8 monsters, but in this deck list you can summon it out by summoning out any Springan Xyz monster first and just slamming this guy straight on top. Alright, while this card is a material, you can add 1 Springan or Therion card from your deck to your hand. So keep in mind, by the way, that doesn't mention detaching. It literally just says, just add a card to your hand if this thing has material. So in this case, you can grab your Tally-Ho Springans, which can then use any materials underneath that card to special summon out a whole bunch of cards. Alright, and if you already have this card, you can just search for a Therion King Regulus instead, which is a nice little Omni-Negate, as I'm sure you guys are well aware as this is a fairly popular card. Alright, then it has a nice bonus effect on top of that, which is, If a material is detached from a monster on the field, you can target one card on the field, either destroy it or return it to hand, which is very nice as you're going to be having plenty of Xyz monsters on the field to choose from, such as cards like of course your Time Thief Redo, which is a card you guys have seen before quite regularly, which can detach stuff, and this thing will then pop things when it does so. Up next we have the rank 4 for the deck list, your Merrymaker. This card has a whole bunch of text, and you can ignore basically all of it, other than the fact that this card, when it is summoned, can send one of your Springans from your deck to the graveyard. You can read the rest of its effect in your own time, but generally, it doesn't matter all that much. All you need to worry about is this thing is sending a Springan from deck to graveyard, as that is mainly part of your combo. Then we have a couple of other combo pieces that are needed in this deck list, one of which is going to be your Qliphort. This card, whenever you summon multiple monsters at the same time, will be able to search for a level 5 or higher machine monster from your deck, so very important for going to certain combo pieces, things like your Branga here, or even searching for a Regulus as well. Alright, then we have your Psy-Framelord Lambda, another card that's integral for this deck list. Because basically, 2 monsters puts this thing on the field, then whenever you banish a psychic monster, which by the way is part of your combo, you're always going to be summoning your Redoer who can banish himself. You can then use this thing's effect to then search for one of your Gammas straight from your deck to your hand, and because this card's on the field, it lets you use Gamma even with monsters on the field as well, so it's basically going to be a searcher for a nice hand trap to be able to negate one of your opponent's monsters. And the only other card in here that's integral to the deck list will be of course your Sprind over here, because it's just a searcher that will be able to special summon out a copy of your Captain during the end phase, as you'll see during the combo portion. The rest of the deck is sort of tech cards. This card, it gets summoned occasionally, it's just sort of a good way to remove one of your opponent's monsters going second, or when the turn passes back to you, remove some of your opponent's stuff. You've got things like, of course, Abyss Dweller, which you'll be summoning occasionally, things like your Bagooska, and of course you've got your Psy-Frame package for your, if you're negating one of your opponent's hand traps or something, you can summon out a copy of your Omega, summon out an Accel Synchron, bring back your level 2, and of course go into a Baronne De Fleur from there. And that's basically the rest of the extra deck. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the decklist portion of the video. The rest of the cards in here are just sort of tech cards or cards you're going to be seeing during the combo portion anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. Let's just jump into some gameplay. Alright, so today I've got 4 combos to show you guys, all of which are basically going to end on very similar end boards, just slightly different depending on which cards you open. So first one we're going to be doing is going to be a copy of your Springans Rockey and a copy of your field spell, which we're going to search for with our Booty over here. Alright, so we're going to use our Booty's effect. Simply just placing our field spell on the field. Alright, so first thing you do, activate field spell. Sending your Rockey to the graveyard. This will summon out your Xyz monster. Xyz monster effect. Can be sending a copy of your Brothers to the graveyard. Alright, Brothers effect. Summons back your Rockey. And in doing so, will give you your Brothers back to hand. Alright, now that we've done this, we can normal summon the Brothers. Now we have 2 cards on field to go straight into a copy of your Qliphort. Or, how do you even pronounce this card's name? Qliphort? Yeah, sounds about right. Alright, these 2 dudes in the graveyard can now use their effects to attach to an Xyz monster on the field. This being your Merrymaker. Alright. Now we can use this card on field to summon out our Gigantic Champion, slamming him on top. Alright, place him over here. Fancy animation, actually. Alright, activate his effect. This will give you a search, grabbing your brand new spell card, your Tally-Ho Springans. I actually don't even remember this card's new or not. Either way, we're grabbing this card. Alright, activate our Springans. This will attach 3 cards from this, which gives us 3 monsters, 2 from grave, 1 from deck. So we're gonna add a copy of your Springans Kit to hand, and summon out your 3 monsters. Alright, from here we've got a whole bunch of effects we can use, but we're only going to use these 2. So we're going to use your Kit's effect. This will give you a search for your spell, and your Qliphort effect will give you a search for one of your Springans, your level 5 or higher one. Alright, going to be adding your Branga to hand. Going to be using your Kit to search for your Branded in High Spirits. And then we just return any card to our deck. So just the card you have, one of the cards obviously you don't want to use, so just chuck the Imperm back in there or whatever. Alright, from here we have a bunch of monsters on field that we can now use as resources to go into whatever we feel like. So in this case, I want to make my Psy-Framelord, using my middle dude and this guy. Summon out our Framelord. And these two level 4s on field make perfect materials to make our redoer. Slam them over here. Alright, now we're going to activate our Branded and High Spirits. Which is going to allow us to send our Branga to the graveyard. Obviously sending your extra deck Sprint to the graveyard. And this will give you your Springans Kit, which is a follow-up for later turns. But the main goal of that is we want to put this dude in the graveyard as well as having our fusion in the graveyard. Because now we can use our Branga, banish this card along with your Xyz monster. And this will give you your trap card for the deck, your Blast. Alright, so now we can actually set this card and we can go to end our turn. Now, by the way, you'll notice I have this Regulus in hand. If you have Regulus in your hand roughly 60% of your games, especially considering if you don't open Regulus, but you open the spell card here, you can use your Gigantic Champion to search for Regulus instead. So in most situations, you're actually able to summon this Regulus right now, just slam him on the field. In fact, I'll do so. Just banishing whatever card from the graveyard. Just slamming this Regulus on the field. And now we have an extra Omni Negate for basically anything our opponent has. Alright, so on top of that, now we're going to go to the end phase. And during the end phase, we're going to use two effects. First, we're going to use our Redoer. Alright, attaching whatever. Banishing himself, because this triggers your Framelord's effect. Which will now search for a copy of your Gamma. And I was going to summon our Springans to the board here. Alright, adding our Gamma. And of course our Redoer is going to come back to the field as well. And first thing we do during our opponent's turn is we can now activate our Time Thief Redoer, putting a material underneath him, which is obviously useful because it means we now have a target for our captain to be able to remove our opponent's stuff. We have our Gigantic Champion, which is able to remove our opponent's stuff. We have a Springans Blast, which is extra disruption for our opponent. We have a Therion to negate our opponent. And of course, we have Gamma, which is active because we have our Psy-Framelord Lambda, I've never pronounced this card, on the field as well. Alright, on to combo number 2. This one's going to be using your kit in combination with your field spell. So once again, activating field spell. Using its effect to discard your kit. And this will summon out your Xyz monster from the extra deck. Alright, now we can use the Xyz monster effect to send a copy of your Rockey to the graveyard. Alright, now we can use Rockey's effect to attach himself below the Springan. So we have more materials for our Tally Ho in a second. Summoning out our big guy. Alright. Now we can use our Gigantic's effect to give us a search. Once again, you can look for if you already have a Therion in hand or if you do not. So in this case, we already have a copy of our Tally Ho. So because we already have one, we could search for the Therion. But normally you'd search for the Tally Ho if you don't have this guy already. Alright, activating your Springan. Alright, attaching 2 materials. This will allow you to add a copy of a card from deck to hand, which is going to be your Branga, and summon 2 monsters to the field. So summoning these 2. And that gives us 2 materials to go straight into our guy. We'll only use the Springans Kit his effect. We're not going to use either of these 2 effects. We'll use this guy's effect later. So Kit is just going to give us a copy of our spell card. Same as earlier. Alright, and then we have to return a card to deck, so just anything, doesn't really matter. Alright, now we can make a copy of our Psy-Framelord over here, using our 2 dudes. Alright, summoning our Lambda. We can activate our Branded High Spirits. This allows us to then show the Branga, which we're then going to send to the graveyard, along with a copy of your Sprind over here. Alright, searching for a copy of your kit, but more importantly, getting this guy in the graveyard, so we can now use his effect to banish this Xyz monster. And this will, of course, add a copy of your Springans Watch to your hand. Activate your Watch. Watch will add a copy of Rockey to hand and send a copy of Brothers to the graveyard. Let's get this Rockey in hand, send Brothers to grave. We can now use Brothers' effect to give us our Rockey we had in grave, and this is why we didn't use Rockey's effect earlier. Because now Rockey is going to give us our Brothers back to hand. Alright, and because we have this kit in hand that we didn't use earlier, we can actually just special summon this card straight to the field. And that is how we get our Psychic monster out. Our Time Thief Redoer. Alright, now from here, I actually don't know if we have any target for this guy at the moment. Because we only have this guy, right? Yeah, so in this situation, I think we can actually use you to give us one. Alright, so now we can use our Psy-Framelord's effect. And we have a target for our Therion. So banishing our Rockey over here. Alright. Now we can go straight into the end phase. Using all our effects, actually. Gonna be searching for our Gamma. Gonna be activating our effect, of course, to be giving us a copy of your Springans Captain. Summon that to the field. And of course, bringing back your Redoer, so you can use it during your opponent's turn. So you have a material underneath it, so you can use your Springans Captain effect and your Gigantic Champions effect. And once again, there is your end field. We've got a nice little negate here, we've got a negate here, we've got a fetch out to Maxx. Normally you wouldn't open Maxx, but anyway. We'd have your, obviously your remove from this card, and yeah, same member board as the first one, just without the trap card, basically. Alright, on to combo number 3. This one's going to use your field spell in combination with any other your Springan spells, doesn't matter which, you just need the name. So we're going to use our Gondola here. Gondola's effect, then going to be discarding your Springan spell, in this case we'll get rid of a Booty. Summoning out your Xyz monster to the field. Xyz monster's effect is going to send a copy of your Branga to the graveyard. Alright, Branga's effect is going to be equipping itself below your Springan. Once again, just so you have more materials. Alright, summoning out our big boy here. Who's then going to either search for your Tally-Ho, or again, if you already have a Tally-Ho, you can search for your Therion. So we're going to grab a copy of our Therion over here. Alright, activating our Springans. Or our, yeah, Tally-Ho Springans. Attaching to. Giving you a copy of your kit. And summoning back your kit and your other guy. Your Branga. This gives kit's effect for a search. Giving you your spell card, your High Spirits. Alright, I'm returning a card back to the deck. Alright, these two cards can now become your Psy-Frame. Alright, now we can use your copy of Branga. Now you have the Xyz monster in graveyard, because you can banish the Xyz monster to give you a search for a spell card, which will be your Springans Watch. Alright, so now we can use Watch's effect to give us a Brothers in hand and send a Rockey to the graveyard. Alright, yeah, so add the Brothers to hand and put the Rockey in the grave. Alright, now we can activate our Branded in High Spirits. It's going to be sending your Brothers to graveyard. And of course the card from the extra deck. And adding a kit to hand. Alright, this will trigger your Brothers to give you your Rockey. Which of course, Rockey, giving you more resources for following turns, can just add this Brothers back to your hand. Alright, from here we can special summon the Kit straight to the field. And that's how, once again, you get your rank 4. Alright, activating your Redoer. To trigger off your Lambda. Alright, now we can summon out our Therion. Don't want to do that. We're going to summon out our Therion without tribute summoning. Banishing whatever. So have a nice little Omni Negate. Alright, and now we can go straight into the end phase. Where we can activate all our cards' effects. So yeah, once again summoning out your Captain, so you have removal. Activating your Lambda so you can get your Gamma. And of course, bringing back your Redoer, ready for the following turn, which then of course you're going to suck up one of your opponent's cards and have basically the same end boards that you've been seeing before, just once again without the trap card. Alright, on to combo number 4. This one's going to be using your Brothers in combination with your field spell. So we're going to use our Booty once again. Getting rid of this. There is our field spell. Alright, activating our field spell. Sending our Brothers to the graveyard to summon this card to the field. Alright, activating your Merrymaker. This will then send a copy of your Branga to the graveyard. Now we can equip both of these to your Xyz monster. Alright, toss him underneath. Toss him underneath. Ready to go straight into our champion. Let's now search for, of course, our spell card. Alright. Now we can use our Tally Ho to give us our 3 monsters on the field, because we've got 3 materials to detach. Of course, once again, we're going to be searching for a copy of your Kit. And summoning your 3 monsters to the field. Alright, activating your Kit's effect. Giving you, of course, your spell card. Alright, I'm returning a card to the deck. From here, we can go into our Psy-Frame. Using our 2 dudes here. Our Lambda. Now from graveyard, we can banish our Branga. Banishing your Exceed. To give us a copy of your Springans Watch. Alright, activating our Watch. Alright, Watch is going to be searching for a copy of your Rockey and sending your Brothers to the graveyard. Alright, now we can normal summon out your Rockey. Which will get your Brothers back into your hand. And these 2 cards on field can actually go straight into a copy of your Redoer. Slamming that on the field. So we can actually use the Redoer's effect here. Attaching materials, banishing the Redoer, of course triggering your Psy-Frame. Alright, now we can use your Spirits. Destroying the Brothers. Putting the Fusion Monster in the extra deck, getting rid of the Brothers. Adding your other Kit to hand. And this should trigger your Brothers effect. To bring back a level 4. Now I think we've already used our Rockey's effect, but it doesn't really matter which one we summon, we just want level 4s. And then we can summon out our Kit. And that's 2 level 4s on the field, so you can go into an Xyz of your choice. In this case, we're going to go into an Abyss Dweller. Alright, then we can go straight to the end phase. Once again, triggering all of your effects. Resummoning out your Sargas. Alright, searching for your Psy-Frame. and of course your Redoer is going to come back to the field as well. And same as before, Redoer, grabbing your material from your top of your opponent's deck, chuck tossing it underneath. But we actually also have Abyss Dweller to be able to remove stuff as well, or use Abyss Dweller's effect to be able to trigger your 2 dudes on either side as well. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's replays and combos. Hope you guys enjoyed them. If you didn't, leave a like, subscribe, with that kind of stuff. And yeah, hope to see you guys in the next video. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.